If you can stomp your foot or clap your hands to a piece of music, you can learn to strum a guitar. Hey, I'm Russ. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Hope you're having a great week. Today, we're going to talk about strumming. I'm going to teach you the technique, why you don't need to learn up and down patterns, and why the patterns you need to learn are rhythmic, not directional. Let's get into it. In a previous video, I talked about the difference between rhythm versus notes, and I also talked about how to practice chord changes. If you've watched those videos and you've done those things, especially the one about chord changes, then you're going to be really well set up for this video. If you haven't done that video and gotten comfortable with changing between chords, this is kind of the other half of that coin, because today we're talking about the right hand, your strumming hand, versus your fretting hand and the hand you play chords with. So even if you can't quite change chords comfortably yet, you can still start working on the strumming side and kind of practice both together. And the way I told you to practice in the video about how to change chords is going to apply to strumming. This is just going to dive in a little bit deeper to that piece. So how I told you to practice before was set a metronome and then just strum on the one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, change chords, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. For this, you can still change chords if you want, but if you really want to focus on the right hand, just keep the same chord with your fretting hand. And we're going to just dive into this here. So let's talk about technique first. You take your pick, you can hold it thumb, index finger. See if I can get you a close up here. Thumb, index finger is my preferred method. If you want to hold, two fingers like so, if you want to hold it middle finger, I won't tell you there's a wrong way. You do what works for you. Also, type of pick is completely personal preference. I started on medium picks, just like this, like the orange version of this pick. I then went to like the tiny little jazz picks. I went thick picks. And now I'm back to kind of heavy, but not like crazy heavy. Point being, use whatever's comfortable. It's not a deal breaker. You use what feels good with the pick and with your playing and type of playing. So you hold the pick. You don't want to hold too tight, because if you hold too tight, your hand's going to get tired, your wrist is going to get tired, like that tension goes all the way into your arm and it's just not going to feel great. So keep your hand loose, grip that pick, but don't like death grip it. We're not like trying to squeeze water out of a pebble here. And then your motion should also have some fluidity to it. You don't want to lock this wrist right here, and so it just becomes just a lever kind of cranking back and forth, because your playing will sound stiff and you won't have any like expression or nuance to what you're playing. And you'll be slower than you need to be eventually, because you're moving too much, okay? When I play, this is my standard motion, all right? Okay, you see, I'm not doing this. Windmills and stuff are fun, but like, we just don't do it that often. It's for show. That's fine. All right, you want to be really frugal with your motion when you're strumming. Also, you don't have to have the pick flat against the string, okay? That changes the sound. You can. Okay, if I have the pick flat against the string, it's going to sound different than if I angle it a little bit, okay? Here it kind of softens the sound a little. So keep a fluid motion, hold your pick loose enough that it's not gonna just like across every string. You want it to kind of glide a little bit. If you're strumming with your fingers, all of this still applies, you're just not holding a pick. But same thing, just keep it fluid. Don't let your wrist get locked, okay? So you can move at the elbow, that's fine, but it's gonna be mostly kind of a little bit of a painting motion. If I turn like so, and you watch my right hand here, you see it's kind of, it's almost like I have a paintbrush in my hand, right? Like Karate Kid, like paint a fence, right? I'm doing kind of this number here, back and forth. That should give you kind of an idea, like it needs to be fluid. You're not hitting the strings, you're strumming the strings. It should sound fluid, okay? All right, upstrokes versus downstrokes. You'll use both, and you'll learn to recognize which one to use when. But it's mostly a feel and a sound. For example, I'm gonna downstroke an E. Now an upstroke. They just have very different sounds. Also changes how you play. The feel of what you're playing changes if you're playing an upstroke. It's very odd to play an upstroke all the time unless you're playing something that has like a backbeat to it, like reggae or blues or something like that. So a lot of the time you're gonna play a downstroke and then you're gonna kind of supplement with an upstroke to get back to where you need to be. So you'll learn, as you play more, you'll learn to hear the difference and more easily of what they're doing, like what strums sound like. So don't freak out if you can't hear that right now. Just, it's fine. Keep doing what you need to be doing. Keep practicing consistently. Keep working on this a little bit every day that you can. You'll get there. I promise. Remember, I started where you started. Same place everybody else started, 0. So don't worry about if you can't hear immediately what's happening or recognize, hey, they're strumming this way. You'll get there, I promise. And eventually you'll be able to identify really odd strum patterns, okay? I hate teaching strum patterns. Okay, that might be controversial, not trying to be a hot take here, but I used to teach strum patterns. I used to learn strum patterns until I figured out they're all but useless. If I just sit and I learn a strum pattern, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, that doesn't sound like anything. It sounds like I'm a student playing a strum pattern because there's no song in that. Now, if you find a song that uses that strum pattern, great. The problem is not a lot of them do, at least not exactly like that. What I found is more interesting is to learn a song and then pay attention to whatever that strum pattern is. For example, that's actually useful. So let me do it again without the chords. Yes, it sounds weird, but you get the point. You recognize the rhythm in there. In another video, I talked about what's more important, rhythm versus notes. And what we discussed there is that the rhythm is more important because the rhythm determines the song more than the notes do. Yes, we recognize the notes, but you can get more notes wrong and still recognize the song than you can get the rhythm wrong and recognize the song. So let's play a little game. Everyone knows this, but as soon as you hear, you know exactly what song it is. I didn't play a single note, I didn't sing a single word, I played a rhythm. And you know exactly what song I'm playing. Here's one that's a little bit more, might be a little more obscure, but if you've heard the song, you'll recognize it. Now, if you've heard the song, you know it. Drop it in the comments if you want to leave a guess for either one of those. Obviously, the first one, pretty recognizable, I feel like. I could be wrong. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what songs those are. Bonus points if you get them both right. But my point is, I didn't play a note. I played a rhythm, and you can recognize it. Well, the same is true of strumming, because strumming on an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, that is your rhythm. Your rhythm is where you will differentiate songs from each other and where your playing will start to sound musical as opposed to just a beginner. practicing and kind of making noise. This is where it becomes musical because you have rhythm to it. So once we have a little bit of the technique, how do we actually build a strum pattern? How do we make it like music? Great question, glad you asked. Music is based off of primarily two components. If we're gonna get really, really simplified, you have the notes and you have the rhythm, okay? Now, in Western music, we operate on a 12-note system that then repeats every octave. Well, in most songs, we actually trim that down to 7 notes, okay? Any major scale, it's only 7 notes and then it repeats itself. So from those 7 notes, we then build chords. So in any given song, you generally are working with 7 chords. Well, we don't actually use all of them most of the time. Depending on the type of music you play, you're probably only going to use 3 to 5 of those chords repeatedly. You might throw in a wild card here and there for like a bridge or a turnaround or a jam section or something, but usually we're kind of living on those 3 or 4 chords. So how do we make songs sound different? Well, one, that would explain why a lot of songs do sound the same, because we are working with a fairly limited number of chords and notes in any given song in modern Western music. But where things really get fun and nuanced and where you can really change things up is with the rhythm, which in a guitar is your strumming hand. This is why I believe learning strum patterns for the sake of learning strum patterns is a waste of time. Because you're going to learn those strum patterns and then you're going to throw them out the door as soon as you start playing actual songs. Whereas if you just learn actual songs, you're going to learn the strum patterns and you're going to learn how those strum patterns fit into the song and why they make the song sound the way they do. Because a lot of songs have the same chords in the same order, but they sound different because the rhythm is different. Now that we've talked about the actual technique and what it should feel like and keeping that flowing motion going with your right hand, with your strumming hand, let's talk about how this fits into rhythm, okay? We're gonna bring back the metronome, and I want you to listen to what happens when I strum on 1 and 3. We're gonna do a downstroke on both, play along if you want. I'm just gonna strum a C chord, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna add a downstroke on 4 and an upstroke in between 3 and 4. It's gonna sound like this. So 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hear how that kind of changes the rhythm. And I realize I'm not teaching you a specific song here. What we're doing right now is we're getting used to strumming on different beats within the measure, different points in the rhythm, and hearing how they interact with each other. How does it feel? You might be thinking, great, how do I apply this to real music? It's a great question. This is gonna take a little bit of practice, a little bit of getting used to. That's why I'm having you practice this way, so that you're not trying to imitate a specific song, just you're playing around with the rhythms and what feels different, what feels good, and what fits where, and getting used to just strumming without the pressure of playing an actual song. Note that I'm not teaching you patterns for the sake of patterns in terms of down, up, down, up, down, up. It's strumming at a certain point in the measure. So strumming on 1, strumming on 3, strumming on 2, strumming on 3.5. That's the only pattern we're really talking about, because that's the pattern that matters when you play music. The up-down pattern doesn't matter as much as the where in the music it is. Another thing we do is we emphasize certain beats more than others. You'll notice this if you try clapping to a song. You're going to clap on 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, depending on how rhythmically challenged you are or what kind of music it is. I won't make any judgments. But we have certain places where we emphasize the beat. We play one thing a little bit louder than the rest. So it might be a exaggerating here. And if I change where that is emphasized, it changes where you feel the beat is. It changes where you want to clap or tap your foot. So once you identify where those emphases are, that's probably going to be your downstroke, right? Because it's just easier to strum with more emphasis on a downstroke. So once you find where those are, then everything else is just filler. For example, you hear the emphases. If I don't emphasize those points correctly, the song falls apart, or it doesn't feel right. It doesn't have the right feel. It doesn't have the right rhythm, and you're just kind of like, what is he playing? And you think you know because the chords have kind of a certain sound to them, but it doesn't quite work. So find where those emphases are going to go. Tap your foot, clap your hand, tap on your guitar, even strum a muted string as you're trying to listen to how it sounds. And then add whatever goes in between, whatever feels good that doesn't disrupt those anchor points of, 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 or whatever it is. Because whatever happens in between is kind of up to you. You can kind of play around with it. If you can tap your foot to a song or clap your hands to a song, you can learn how to strum and strum along with any song. Because that's all we're doing is we're following the rhythm of the song. We're not following a particular pattern of up and down, down, up, down. That doesn't matter. What matters is which one sounds right. Does the downstroke sound right? Or does the upstroke sound right? And where in the beat does that happen? Right? Are we emphasizing that? Are we not emphasizing that? Once you determine where that emphasis is, where that downstroke is, that upstroke is, that kind of, if you strip out everything else, the song still works. So, for example, if I played just that, now that's slow, but if I played just that, you could still tell what song it is. Everything else that I'm doing, all the kind of upstrokes, kind of half strokes, I'm just kind of filling in the space, keeping the groove going, right? You hear how when I strip out all the extra, the song still works. That's what I mean when you have to find that groove, find that rhythm that carries the song, and then hang that rhythm on it. Everything else you do in between is just filler. It's just meant to feel a little better than just those single chords. The most important thing is to keep those strums in time. So your filler can't throw that off. I can't be doing, I'm lost. It's gone. I've lost that rhythm. I don't know what it is anymore. The singer's lost, my band, it's a disaster. All right, let's bring this home. So don't grip your pick too hard. Don't keep your wrist too locked up. Keep your wrist nice and fluid. Move from the elbow. Right? Imagine you've got a paintbrush and you're just painting those strings. Okay? Practice with the strings muted. You can add a chord if you want to. You can add changes if you want to. But remember the focus in this particular exercise is on the right hand. Turn on your metronome and toy around with where those strums are going to go. Play around with different speeds, different places in the beat. So right here I'm doing kind of a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and note I'm not paying attention to the up, down. Because that's not really the important thing. The important thing is like where that emphasis is. So grab your pick, grab your guitar, try these exercises, let me know how it goes. Remember, it's all about making the music, not just getting it right. So have some fun. Hope you found this helpful. drop a note in the comments. Let me know if you did. Then like, subscribe, all the YouTube-y stuff. You know the drill. And if you want to find out more about working with me or just hear from me other than on YouTube, click the link in the description, and I will see you in another video again real soon. Thanks for watching.